You're watching the Whole My Brunch podcast, hosted all the way from Sri Lanka. I am Shavi, and I love talking about many things, starting from the life hustle to the biggest insecurities that all of us have. Do you need that Sunday morning coffee or tea with a strong brew? Then this is the right place for you. Stay tuned. Hello everyone. I wish you an extremely refreshing Sunday morning. To every one of you past the Greenwich line towards the Asian continent, and of course the rest of you, good evening. Today we are going to delve into an important topic which I kind of feel like it has not gotten its deserved attention, and that's going to be answering the question, which is also the topic for today's podcast episode: why you must study abroad. Stay tuned for more information and experiencing. Alright guys, hope you had an amazing week, and let's get back into some podcast listening with our topic today: why anyone must study abroad. You should have probably heard people study abroad. I mean, you might be a student currently studying abroad, and I wish you all the best for that hustle. Probably, you also might be a study abroad graduate, which is very spectacular, and congratulations to that amazing feat. Or you might be actually interested to study abroad and see what kind of opportunities are out there for you, or if you are a parent, for your kid. In this episode today, I will be sharing my experiences along with the experiences of two of my good friends, Ravindu and Dimuth, and both of them, including myself, are students who were born and bred in Sri Lanka and went ahead to study abroad. Before we go deeper into discussion, let me introduce myself and my study abroad background. I am Shavi, as you know, the host of this newly begun podcast, and I graduated last year from Northern Arizona University, Flagstaff, Arizona, as a Bachelor of Science, majored in biology and minored in chemistry. I know there is some terminology involved, and let's get back to it later. Now let me hand over the controls to my two good friends to introduce themselves and their study abroad backgrounds.
Hello, I'm Ravindu. I'm a senior majoring in finance and minoring in mathematics from Northern Arizona University, Flagstaff, Arizona.
Hello guys, I'm Dimuth and finally an undergraduate student who is studying Culture and Tourism Management in the Sichuan University, locating in the beautiful Sichuan Basin of China.
Thank you very much, Ravindu and Dimuth, for introducing yourself and your study abroad background. And as listeners, I told you that I will be getting back into some terminology, which is basically like saying, what are these majors? Like I just said that I majored in biology and minored in chemistry. And major, or if you are majoring in a certain subject field in the university, that refers to your primary area of study. Normally, a major constitutes around 120 American credits under normal conditions. Why I said American credits? Because this entire credit system differs from country to country. Because in Sri Lanka, it could mean something else. In the Commonwealth, it could mean something way different. In the same way, I was talking about minoring in a certain subject. It's basically like you are studying a major in a nutshell. It would kind of go for a ballpark of 18 to 20 credits. Sometimes it could be kind of like understood as a concentration or some sort of an emphasis in a subject, which is also kind of related to the normal major that you're doing. In this way, you could curate your entire undergraduate study experience in a very multidisciplinary way when you're studying abroad. Because that's the reason why multidisciplinary study is very encouraged in the modern education system in the world. It's because you could explore more and excavate more in your study field. You could find more links through your study or the major, and you could kind of understand the real depth of what you study. It's not like you're stuck in a room with four walls. It's more than that. So, to start off, I wanted to get statistics on the proportion of Sri Lankan students pursuing study abroad opportunities. As usual, I had to go Google Sri Lankan students studying abroad UGC. The term UGC refers essentially to the University Grants Commission, which is the regulatory body for higher education in Sri Lanka. You also find UGCs in India, and it is also pretty synonymous for the Department of Education in the United States, especially the higher education sector in that. Then I was scrolling all throughout to get some statistics, and unfortunately there was no mention of the study abroad percentages. I also read all sorts of publications, including the annual report. The only annual report available in the UGC Sri Lanka site is only for the year 2016. I mean, it is 2020 and Sri Lanka's UGC has not yet published annual reports for at least 3 years for the years 2017, 2018 and 2019. I mean, you need to do way better, Sri Lanka's UGC, to be specific. And then they say, try, and one day you will fly. So I actually found this research article by Dr. A.M.M. Nawaz, a professor affiliated to the Southeastern University of Sri Lanka. According to this article, it says that 8% of qualified high school graduates pursue study abroad. So this is in regard to Sri Lanka, alright? However, the funniest thing is, it is an ancient statistic dated back to the year 2008. And of course, we need to update our census information soon because it's already 2020 and 2008 is as ancient as 12 years ago. Anyway, with the lack of research data, I'm still happy because I found a statistic related to Sri Lankan students studying in America. A 2016 news item published on the website of the US Embassy in Sri Lanka states that the number of Sri Lankan students studying at US colleges and universities rose to 3,080 students, an increase of 6.9% compared to the 2014-2015 academic year, according to the latest 2016 Open Doors report. Alright, back to the discussion after some haphazard situation with related statistics. Let us have a listen to my good friends on why they actually wanted to consider studying abroad.
It was basically the opportunities that was available uh, when you during your study and then even after you graduate is immense when compared to Sri Lanka, because in Sri Lanka uh, we have a very intelligent community, we have a good literate young generation. But the thing is, there are things that are holding back in Sri Lanka, stuff like politics, corruption, and all that adds up, and university ragging plays a huge part. So when you come to a university abroad, well, the good side of it is you don't find such things, right? You're free to learn, right? You have your rights, right? So but I mean, I'm not saying that in any way that universities here or the experiences that you get when you come to USA would be always like a garden of roses. That's not what I'm going to say. You will find difficulties, you will find obstacles, but even among those, if you could move forward, you will find opportunities for what you are worth. So at this moment in countries like Sri Lanka, you don't find that. You rarely find that. So so maybe that was one of the reasons that I wanted to study abroad, and also there are other reasons that, like, you get to associate and interact with a diverse community, and always it's very different, right? It's very different when you go abroad and study. The experiences, the people that you meet, and everything, right? Your mindset changes when you see students work hard, when you see students having a great work ethic. Your experiences change. Maybe you were a lazy child back when you were in Sri Lanka, but when you come here and when you see students who are younger than you, graduating, majoring in different fields, your whole mindset changes.
The question, why did I choose to study abroad, is a very interesting question for me. Like, actually it influenced few reasons, not just one. The first reason, it's like I would like to revise my memory, go back to after A levels. I couldn't get enough marks for my A levels. Like, I got 3 A's, but I couldn't qualify for a good university in the country. So that's where everything started. So it was like 3-4 years messing around for me in my life. I was changing one university and again another one, all the private. I tested like 3-4 private universities, like going there for like 6 to 1 year. But then I realized that the things I wanted to get was not available there. Like, I wanted the experience, the tourism management in a more social science way, but all the degrees, tourism degrees available in the country was like, it's in more management science way. They were more focused on management subjects like finance. It's not my way. And also the other degrees are hospitality, hotel management. That's not what I wanted. So I decided to apply for a university abroad, and at that time I started realizing my expectation was not available in this country. So I compared few countries, few options like USA, UK, even Russia and China. But finally I decided to go to China with few reasons, like it's economically very comfortable place to live, and also I realized there are more research and more opportunities for international students to shine in Chinese universities. So that's how I decided to go abroad.
The reason why I studied abroad was because I essentially wanted to be who I am and not being stuck in the typical South Asian stereotype. In other words, getting lost among the career choices of a medical doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, or an accountant. Standing out as a unique self was what I always wanted. My parents and I made that leap as an enormous challenge because in a typical South Asian environment, it is pretty rare to see parents giving that independence and opportunity to their daughters. By the way, one may actually wonder what life skills one develops as a result of studying abroad. There are many. I could rant on for days, weeks, and probably for years. The point is, it's like figuring out yourself from scratch and building that jigsaw puzzle with optimism. And that was one hope that I had throughout my study abroad mission. In a nutshell, as a result of this entire process, I learned how to start off myself as an independent human being. Just imagine a 30 plus hours ultra long haul flight and thousands miles away from your comfort zone. It is all up to yourself to figure out the snake and ladder puzzle. You get that co-experience of being the sole comforter for yourself sometimes. But it will for sure assure you with the positive and an innovative mindset. Let me start with the grassroots basics. When you get hungry, you'd be able to access the nearest and the cheapest fast food. It could be Taco Bell, it could be Burger King, or anything like Mac. But then, at one point, you realize that the fast life is not for you. Then you turn towards cooking at home by yourself. When you continue to do so, you either may fail badly as a Gordon Ramsay-esque swearing or excel like a seasoned cook for decades. But trust me, the climax comes when you absorb a kink of experimentation. As a potential result, you embrace that fearlessness to experiment anything around you. One day, you may spend $200 for groceries, but later on you understand $30 or less a week is all good for me. One day, you also realize that you ran out of time for assignments, but later on you understand you need to start working on it, to start using a planner, allocating time for classes, part-time work, and other dedications. Trust me, that is a plethoric amount of self-realization and correcting your blunders and acing yourself all the way up. Through self-realization only, you develop the life skills of being independent. Being mentally independent is a way more different than being financially independent. I have seen a lot of people who are financially independent but not at all mentally independent. If one studies abroad, you obtain both of these forms of independence. Let's also have a listen to what Ravindu has to say on the life skills he developed as a result of studying abroad.
My work ethic was also a huge part. Right, the hustle. Right, the hustle is a very big part because we have to wake up early in the morning. We have to go to work, and then we have to go to classes because we have to manage ourselves. Back in Sri Lanka, my parents used to do all the work, and the only thing that we had to do in our part was to go to college and then study. But when you come to USA, we are very far away from our parents, and then we have to sustain ourselves. So we become more independent. So that's also a very good part in coming abroad and experiencing this lifestyle, because you can be independent. When you get independent, you have to find food, you have to go out for groceries, you have to cook for yourself, and you have to work. If you are working on campus, you have to work, and you have to allocate ample time to your studies, assignments, and all that, because it's not like in Sri Lanka where you just study for 3 and 2.5 months and then sit for an exam at the end of the semester. That's not how this goes. You have continuous assessment. Right? It's continuous assessment. You have to do exams, you have to take midterms, you have to do assignments, and all that counts up to the final grade, right? Everything counts up for the final grade, including attendance. So you have to balance each and everything. You have to work to, because sometimes, for example, my parents did not have enough capital to provide me for my to give me for my living expenses, because all the capital my parents saved goes straight to my tuition, and each and every day, right, in a daily basis, the currency exchange, right, the currency rate increases. So that means you have to give each and everything, so there is nothing extra that I can use to cover up my rent or anything like that. So what I have to do is I have to work on campus, and that work, because you have in that situation you have to find any work that is available to you. So you have to either find work that are like, I mean, that can be a bit vigorous. So all in all, you have to under the stereotype that white men, like Americans, could be racist, and right, Native Americans, for example, are a bunch of people who just read all the time and they do nothing. So there was certain types of stereotypes that was influenced by the media or Hollywood, whatever it is. But when I come to America, the situation is very different. People act in very different ways, right? The ones who actually discriminate are not whites, and it's just maybe the Asians, right? So there are some interesting facts that you come across when you come to USA. But the thing is, there's one thing though. I'm talking out of my own life experiences. Maybe some other person has different experiences. So, it's better if you could get the more experiences that you get to hear, you can get a good idea about what the situation is like, right? You don't base off any assumptions about America just based on my experiences, people, because that would be a bit of a bias, because I speak out from my own life experiences and what I went through when I came to USA. So that might be my fault as well to get those experiences. So just hear me out.
Coming from China is a different background, so Dimuth has many interesting things to say in regard.
The life skills, well, it's very broad. I can say that I got hundreds of life skills after moving to study abroad, but I will try to evaluate the main parts of it. First thing I can tell is like I learned how to live with different cultures. That's a pretty good skill. For me, I think it's one of very good skills, because my university have like 50-60 nations, students from several countries, and I was among them, and I learned to respect them. And even in China, it's a different, very diversified cultures available inside the country. You travel to another province and you get a different place. I learned so many things, how to handle the different cultural shocks, how to handle the people. I think it's a big lesson for my life, and a skill. And also I can say that, in China, if you go to outside, there are no too much people who can speak English. Like if you go to another country like Malaysia, those countries, now they have some people who can speak, at least can manage English. But in China, it's very little. No lot of people can speak English. And for me, earlier my Chinese was like, it's nil, and I had to settle down in a society where I cannot communicate properly, and the systems are quite different considering to Sri Lanka, like the landlords. I have never experienced renting or going rent a house before, so it's the first time. Everything was first time, and I learned how to face the obstacles in my life. Now I can feel that I can go and settle down in anywhere in the world. because of these kind of experiences. And then other skill I can find is that the language skills, like Chinese language. If I stay in Sri Lanka and if I try to learn Chinese, I don't think it will be very pretty good idea, because if you don't have a way to practice, you will get lost in that language. But now I can manage language just because I was among the Chinese people and communicating daily with them. Now I am at a level where I can manage it, and not just Chinese, because my university studies are going in English and we were speaking with so many European American people, so my English also developed. That's another skill. And also I can one more thing I can tell is that I became very strong mentally, physically. I became very strong because of all those experiences.
What Dimuth said about the diversity experience is very real. Let me also add a little bit on that. Studying abroad also helps interact with other global and diverse cultures. I'm so glad that I obtained that exposure being an international student in the United States, coming from South Asia. I saw that diversity and I'm proud to be a part of that dynamic diversity. As an instance, the American society encourages individualism. I incorporated that goodness into my life. It helped me ace in my university life and my networking with professors and people coming from different backgrounds. Starting from deciding what I want to eat whilst saving money, I was spontaneously educated on following a discipline when it comes to everything. Starting from maintaining a balanced social life to avoiding wastage of water, electricity, food, following immigration rules for everything I do, and paying taxes on time, maintaining credit scores. All of those are a few of the massive list of goodness that I embraced as a student studied abroad, especially in the United States. Also, something in regard to what Ravindu said about stereotypes. Do not assume America based on stereotypes. You will be terribly wrong and pretty much misled when you actually realize it. It's a very beautiful nation with amazing people in there. That's a lot of experience. I would say positive experiences accumulated together. All sorts of racist stereotypes, things scattered everywhere, which is mainly portrayed by movies. It's definitely not real. Therefore, no assumptions before doing the real thing. I think that's it to go with. So, my people, this entire episode was a motivation for every one of you out there trying to get some sort of a background idea on studying abroad, how it feels like, and especially with the support of 3 real Sri Lankan students who attempted and accomplishing study abroad situation. It's an amazing feat if you could do it. And I have seen a lot of posts circulating all around saying it's a risk. Yes, it definitely is a risk. But if you overcome the risk with a positive mindset, then that challenge is for you. I kid you not. It is a major lifetime experience, especially for everyone who are stuck in their own motherland. I understand this is merely a topical episode on studying abroad because there is deeper things to talk about studying abroad and the opportunities. And I'm actually hoping to do more episodes on studying abroad, like how to finance things, how to get yourself into the applications, especially for the American universities, and with the Sri Lankan perspective, or most generally a South Asian perspective, all of that. However, if you want to know more information about how to get access on studying abroad and what are the reliable resources that you could go through, please let me know on the comments, and I'll be more than happy to get them noted. So for the next week's episode, I am going to talk about the potential of the modern South Asian millennial. Sometimes it's pretty much underrated and underestimated that as a region, what kind of amazing things that we could do to the world. So stay tuned, that I will be talking more about it, and I'm obviously very proud to represent being a Sri Lankan and a South Asian at the same time. Anyway guys, I hope that you enjoyed my episode number 1, which was in regard to the background experience sharing on studying abroad and its importance. And please leave in the comments for more room for improvement and for positive feedback. I'm excited for everything. See you soon with another Breaking Through episode next week. Have an amazing week ahead. Goodbye.